Hello, beautiful humans. I'm here today to make a video about how you are the second coming of Christ. So, my life's work is to help humans remember their technology that we have available to us. We are the interdimensional internet, and we are powerful beyond what we remember we are. And as a part of my work or my pleasure, I study maps of consciousness. Now, all religions are maps of consciousness. Religions are each cover a different area. Now, in my experience, the Hindus have the most extensive map. They really covered a lot of ground. And then you have the Sufis, which cover the area of the heart and love, and they have certain technologies which are very helpful, have helped me. And Christianity holds a certain key. So consciousness is infinite, and each one of these different systems, whether there's indigenous systems, my own ancestors' indigenous system of paganism, these are maps of consciousness. They are ways of interacting with reality that give us, they're tools for interacting with reality. So for example, how to pray, how to effectively pray. The Buddhists have dedicated themselves to developing technologies that allow the human race to regulate their nervous system so that we can actually experience a more regulated external system. So, but what I'm here to talk about today is how you are the second coming of Christ. So basically, Jesus came when he did, and he walked the earth, and his story has been massively misunderstood and misused. But now it's time for us to actually remember and to awaken to the true meaning, because we're actually evolved enough and we have the information and the mental capacity to truly understand what the heck he was even talking about or what he represented. So when he came, he was way ahead of his time, and that's why the humans sacrificed him. They crucified him. In a similar way, when someone speaks out, what's that? That's saying the heretics of today are the heroes of tomorrow. So whenever somebody really comes out as the cutting edge of consciousness, they get shot down until everybody else kind of catches up with them. So we've had about 2,000 years since Jesus came. And so we've had some time. We have the internet now, which is a huge tool for our awakening process. So now anyone, regardless of what religion they come from, religious background, or what map of consciousness their default state working with, we now have just information. We have information and misinformation and extra double complicated mixed up information, but hey, we have some tools to work with. So in some ways, the Western tools that we're working with, like psychology and things like that, are sort of primitive compared to some of the more ancient things like Hinduism and the older religions like Buddhism. They're kind of saying the same thing as psychology, but with way more depth and wisdom. But for the secular mind, it can be helpful to have a roadmap that is operating without God. So anyways, although I do not recommend operating anything without God, because you'll just be at a disadvantage. Okay, so working with God is having access to superpowers. You are God, by the way. So let's see. You are the second coming of Christ. So Christ is the way, the truth, and the light. Okay, so what does this mean? Jesus actually created a path in consciousness for us to follow. He carved out this pathway for us that represents human potential for us to actually awaken to our own inner Christ consciousness. So we all have the ability to do miracles. We all have the ability to command our reality. Jesus came to show us the way. The kingdom of heaven is within. So if you're still just sitting around waiting for Jesus to come back, you are Jesus. You are Jesus. So you need to just really listen to his words and see his actions and see yourself in him. He's here to awaken, to be a mirror for us, to awaken to our own Christ nature. So, as a healer, I recently received a healing from a friend who's a shaman, and this was in a traditional Zapotec environment, and it really was ingrained in me in the session that he wasn't healing me, that he was simply externally assisting me to activate my own inner healing powers. He was inspiring me. He was holding a reflection. He was holding an anchor for me to activate my own internal healing system. So, Jesus is there to show us what we are capable of. And he said that you will do greater things than me. So it's helpful when I hang out with people who are on the same vibe as me, the miracle vibe, who are awakened in their Christ consciousness, then we create a reality where we're mutually consenting to, and especially if 3 or more of us are gathered in one place where we are all in a miracle mindset, then it's very easy to manifest miracles. And actually what happens when we are vibrating at the level of our heart, our Christ conscious, so saying like you accept Jesus into your heart, basically it's basically a metaphor for allowing your own heart to awaken to this Christed way of being, right? So when I'm hanging out with 2 or more people we are all agreeing upon that reality, rather than, oh, that's not possible, oh, this is, things are gonna go wrong. Have you ever had the experience where you're like so excited about something, like a project or a dream or it's just a trip or whatever, and then somebody comes and poo-poos it and they're just like, meow, and they just rain on your parade and kind of pop your bubble? So when you get around other Christed beings, then what we all do is we help each other spiral up, and we're consenting to this collective reality where miracles do happen. But what's so cool, and I've been experiencing this a lot lately, is so what happens is, how do we end up manifesting instantly? When we actually arrive at living through the consciousness of our heart, basically letting the heart lead, seeing through the eyes of the heart, then we actually link up as a collective consciousness. So more advanced consciousnesses actually become collective consciousnesses. So when all humanity reaches a certain level where we're all operating from our heart. Now, Jesus kind of said like, oh yeah, forget about all those rules, all those commandments, all those laws. He was like, the most important is to love your neighbor as yourself. So when we actually all arrive there, then we are actually dreaming the same dream. Like, all you have to do is tune into your own heart. And on that frequency, we begin to do this dance together where I think about manifesting something, or I want something, or I need something, and then boom, somebody else who's on the same vibrational wavelength, operating within that same collective heart consciousness in me, comes in to provide that for me. And it's a dance, it's a joyful dance, and we're all living in that beautiful synchronicity where it's my joy to provide this for you. Like, you think, oh, I want, I need a ride, or I need a bar of chocolate, or I need a hug, or I need whatever, and then we're so spontaneously linked up at the level of our hearts, and we just end up just participating in this perfect dance of synchronicity together, and being the reflections of the manifestations of each other. And this is what you will experience the more that you open up to letting your heart lead, noticing synchronicities, being receptive and perceptive to your blessings, and finding the Christ within and looking for heaven within. So if you have any questions about this, or if you would like to set up a session, my website is lovelikeanocean.com, and I also accept all kinds of trade, whatever is fair for people. I'm here to support you in your ascension process. It's my joy and pleasure to help you remember your technology and your power, and to help you step into heaven on earth as easily as possible, because it can be like that. So I wish you ease and joy and beauty and peace and abundance. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be joyful and gloriously beautiful.